Uh, Special thanks for Tawazoun and Sustained Leadership for hosting this lovely event, supporting the people around the world, to protect those lovely minds and embrace the beauty of mental health awareness. Accepting everyone to be happy and healthy. And if not, we will guide them to the path of health and happiness and sustainability and be balanced. And for today's topic, it won't be about the psychology of the brain or our emotions or how to coach our brain. It will be a different topic because many articles, many information out there trying to help people connect back again with what we can do to feed that brain. We will learn about the brain energy. What is it? Why it's important? What's the data available out there? The numbers about the brain energy. When our brain energy leaks and we need to refresh or recharge, what, how, or when we have to feed that brain in order to keep that balance in our mental health status. And those who are afraid to use the sugars to feed the brain, is it a wise decision or not? Are the sugars the only solution to boost that energy for that brain? And what if our brains need more than the energy? What else can we do to help that brain to thrive and survive? And lastly, we will discuss some questions that it might pop in your mind about what can I do for myself? So when we talk about brain energy, first let's learn or revise back again some of the biology. Where is our brains? What's their functions? What they actually do for us? In a nutshell, we can tell that the brain is like a mega computer on the top of our human head or any mammalian head. That system literally is the actual life source of our body. Once the brain stops to function, means that the body is dead. It's the most complex organ in our bodies, and lots of mysteries around it and surrounded for the last thousands. Since the humanity knows about science and about human bodies and about creatures' bodies. And from the 90s till now, scientists start to dig more in the research about the brain and neuroscience and how we actually can understand this mysterious organ to help us function well and be a better survivals. So if we talk about brain energy, people will say, well, I will eat some sugar, I will eat this, I will do keto, I will do that. But let's touch some basics of it. So the primary function of the brain is process, transmit information via electrical signals to all over the body. Actually, it gives the signals to any cell in our body to function and way to get back the information or the messages about these cells or these tissues, and if they need any help to get reconnected to the other organs or other tissues in order to support these tissues or these cells. Our brains and our nervous system in general need a continuous glucose and oxygen supply. It's the main source of energy to it. Glucose-derived energy that we approximately need, and this is an average, it might be more or a little bit less, it's around 130 grams of pure sugar, pure glucose a day, which resemble to almost 20% of our daily metabolic energy. So for those who might consume around 2,500 calories, might need almost 450 or 500 calories per day only for brain in just to be awake. No extra effort is just for maintaining the actual daily needs for the brain. And those demands won't drop that much even when we under anesthesia or sleep. It also will help us to understand that even during sleep, our brains, our nervous system will functioning and they need almost 150 kilocalories a day. Once we wake up from anesthesia or from sleep, this demand will increase into 50%. So it will jump into 300 kilocalories, and it will continue to increase depend on how we can use this brain. This will, in a nutshell, show us that this part of our body needs an extra look, an extra care to how to support, how to make it a better functioning organ. And to know more about why brain energy is important, this is just a piece of the puzzle. And it shows us that few nerves support about constricting your pupils to allow how much light will enter your pupils so you can see the objects in front of you. Stimulate flow of saliva, continuous breathing, continuous blood pumping for your heart, making your stomach, your pancreas functioning to digest the food, extract the energy, extract the sugar that you need to balance your blood sugar, help your liver to function, to filtrate everything, and activate many hormones and many chemicals in order to let your body digest and help your body absorb many chemicals in order to survive. Help the kidneys, the adrenal glands, even contracting your bladder, or for the females, your uterus, or for males, your genitalia, to work and urinate or function, the basic functions as a human being or as a creature, just to be alive. So it will start to wake you up, let you feel, accept, and then let go of the waste products. These tiny little bits of that, what our brains can do, and why we need all these grams of sugars to make this part of the body function well. A bit about the data, and this is one sketch. It's a simplest sketch that our brain is almost taking the same amount of energy that our skeletal muscles do. The muscles that make us move, stand, walk, sit, chew, while the other organs will have less. So those who think that the heart is the main organ, no, it's the brain. Now, when we talk about the energy, people will think, okay, is it from my mind? Is it me? Is it the food that I take? Is it the life that I spend? Is it my genetic diseases, my family traits? What is it? What exactly going on that make this brain dysfunction or lose the energy or leak the energy? Let's take just a little bit of the information about one of the major mental issues that people face these days, which is depression. People wakes up, feels uneasy, they don't like to contact with anyone, and they will start the cycle. So the depression will prevent them from eating food, means no electrical signals. The brain is not functioning well. They are not eating food because they are depressed. The inflammation will start because the body needs some food to build some cells and remove some cells. Then the depression continues and the waste products will change into oxidative stress, means that we will damage and we will store the waste products in our body that will start to eat our cells and damage more and more. Then our metabolism and mitochondria, which are the energy houses in our cells, will start to affect. And instead of healing the depression, it will make it worse and worse. The gut issues will rise up, and the waste products will kill our microbiome, and the toxins will start to finish the cycle of depression. And this is one. And this is one.
No, hi.
So this is one of the mental issues that people face every single day. It might be transient, it might be a continuous situation, but it might be worse than this, and people will get confused. So when the brain leaks, we have two pathways theoretically we can work on and approved by research. So if it is started by the body itself, somebody never ate enough, or let's say that they ate a little bit less last night. After a long night of sleep, they wake up with low sugar. Simply, they are hungry. They ignore the hunger. In a few minutes, it will turn into nervousness. This is one of the brain leaks. They forget to drink enough water, or they drink too much water. They didn't take care about their mineral intake, or they sweat and they did not replace the minerals on the soil they sweated. They will end with low sodium, or maybe they have a little bit of diarrhea. The low sodium will end up with the symptoms like fear. It's like fear, it's not a real fear, it's a low sodium level in the blood. People who consume low-fat diets, they generally don't like it, or they are following some trends or some fashion advices, and they cut the essential fats from their diet, and suddenly they will have liver stagnation when the body cannot digest the fat, and it will affect the liver and shows as anger. Low vitamin B, this is when people have issues in their guts, IBS, continuous constipation or diarrhea, issues of absorption. It will end up with leaking their vitamin B storage, which is hardly be stored because the body can store a little bit of it. And they will end up with a situation like nightmares. And the low water intake during the day, or during maybe by the end of the week, they will gradually dehydrated, and then they will say that we have brain fog. These little things about mental health and its connection to food or the environment of our food can be translated into this, that no, your mental issues is not in your brain as a source, it's your diet that affect your brain, and then you have mental issues. We're not talking about psychological issues, we're talking about simple things, behavioral and mood switches or fluctuations, or what we call it mood swings. In the other hand, the mood swings or the mental status also can cause effects on the body. And this is another leak, or the opposite leak of the brain energy. So people, let's say that they have a stress lifestyle, a chronic anxiety, they have too many things make them worry, they never be sorted out. They will, from time to time, they will forget to eat, and they will experience heart palpitation. It's not always directly connected with anxiety, but simply that anxiety will consume more energy to make them function, and that will deplete the energy from other body organs or tissues. Insomnia, and many people are suffering nowadays from it, and they forget after the insomnia attack to feed their brain. Simply, they wake up after a heavy or struggling at night. They lose their appetite. They don't know what to eat to energize themselves. And they will spend the rest of the day in brain fog and chronic headaches or even migraines. And this vicious cycle will continue with them. And it all can be sorted out by addressing the insomnia causes, help the body to re-nourish the next day. And luckily, the brain fog will reduce over time. The anger, that might be just a habit that someone pick it and gradually use it as a defense mechanism for their situation. The same, once they become in this vicious cycle of anger, the way that the body will absorb or digest any food will will be corrupted. And most of these people also stiff in life because of that anger, because of that rage, will end up with joint pain. So either way, is it food or is it the body or mind? By the end of the day, we can sort it out by helping the body heal through nutrition or through balanced nutrition. So what to feed the brain and from where those nutrients will come. So the brain mainly get its energy from glucose. It's the simplest kind of sugar, and it can be taken from many food like carbohydrates, like bread, pasta, potatoes, fruits, some veggies. All these things will break down or any fiber-rich food. It will be break down into simple sugars called glucose, and the brain can take it. It's the easiest and simplest way for brain to function. The other way, when we forget to eat or we don't have time to eat, or the people who choose the keto diet, which is a trend now, when the body will start to break ketones, and it will supply the brain with ketone bodies that will be used as an energy resource. The glucose resource is more sustainable and safer. The ketone bodies will be a little bit on the short side because after a while, it will become like a toxic cycle for the brain, and it cannot be maintained for a long time. It's like a starvation mode of the brain. So when we can feed the brain, depends on which part of your brain that you're going to use. If you're creating and experiencing emotions, then it's time to feed your brain. If you have lots of stress in your life, you have many demands in your lifestyle, and you feel overwhelmed, it is time to stop, organize yourself, and take that break to nourish your brain and take that snack. On the other hand, if you're running a busy lifestyle, too many things around you, you need to analyze, work, organize your day. Again, do not start your day on an empty stomach or sips of your coffee or only tea and run it, because sooner or later, your brain will run out of its fuel and you will get corrupted in this area. So either way, the feeding the brain the right energy will help you to do better, feel better, and also protect that precious organ in your body. Now, how to feed that brain? That's another thing. When you see what you see in this picture is some oily fish, some sardine, nuts, chilies, greens, ginger, nuts, eggs. It's actually everything. Everything natural, everything non-processed, as much as you can, will help to boost that brain. Let's say that you don't have time. You're in a run. Your meeting will start in a few minutes, and you forget to take your breakfast or your lunch. You grab a few pieces of nuts and take them. You came late at night and you're so exhausted and it's too late to cook something. Boil some eggs and make a ginger tea with some honey, and that will give you a little bit of nourishment for the brain till you get your sleep, and next morning again you can enjoy your beautiful breakfast. And the list has never been a shortage for nourishing the body the right way. Nowadays, many people knows how to prepare their food. They know how to organize themselves and grab a salad with a little bit of eggs and some fish or some chicken, and they can take a mini snack on the go instead of leaving it till the end of the day, and they will become frustrated. The biggest part of feeding the brain is the sugars. It's freaking out people nowadays. I'm not sure why. Is it the lack of the information about sugars, or if it's the over-processed food that contains sugars and other things that make people confused? And they will usually prefer some fresh fruits instead of the chocolate. But they will fight this urge and go down and indulge all that beautiful brownish glory, which is fine. Because when you don't have time and you're in a rush for energy, and you will take this apple to eat, it might take some time to be digested and absorbed. While the quick sugars like chocolate, candy, donuts, cupcakes, name it, any processed sugars will be a quick fuel for the brain. But the trick is, how much of it shall I take in the emergency? Usually, if you're in an emergency situation, just 1 or 2 pieces of chocolate means, like, the thumb size will be fine. Maybe with your tea or your coffee till you get the time to eat. But please do not take it all. Now the don'ts is you start by skipping 1 meal and say, well, I have low energy level. Let's take 1 donut. And then your sugar will spike. And then you will take the second and the third, and in a few minutes, you will find that your beautiful box of donuts is empty. And you're still hungry and craving for more and more. This is when we have to stop and say no, and watch out. Instead of finishing the rest of the donuts, keep them for the rest of the week. Take 1, then take your meal. A big bowl of salad, some grilled meat or boiled eggs, or any source of protein you prefer. But stop the urge, because this will be a vicious cycle, and it will end always with depleting the energy from your brain, because your brain is not depend only on sugar. We need other chemicals also to support the cells and the tissue of the brain. Yeah, it takes the sugar as a fuel, but it also needs other parts of the nutrition to build its own tissues. And what other things that can be done or used to help that brain to function well and to bring that wellness to our mental status. And it's another trend that we can see it in people. They call it the detox, cleanse. I will shift my system into alkaline or acidic, and many, many names. What actually we need is not about detoxing the system. It's about detoxing the whole day. What enters our body. We can choose to pick the things that can enter the body and create healthy cells, healthy healing, and that will naturally help your system to detox by itself. Our body is built to detox itself naturally. While if you pick the wrong or the unsuitable food resources or nutrients, you will end up with more toxins and you will always chase these names. So the 1-day cleanse or detox or the 1-month juicing is not going to fix the long run of nutrient depletion from your body and especially from your brain. So adding these things to your daily intake nutrients will help for sure your brain. Adding exercises, adding mental training like brain games, fresh air and sun. The movement itself will help to detox that body naturally and bring the cells to its harmony and balance. And when we talk about the health, remember that those who think they have no time for healthy eating will sooner or later have to find time for illness. And the hardest part of the illness is the mental illness. When you don't know what to do, when you're afraid to do anything, and you're not trusting anyone to help you to heal. Those moments that we have to stop and rethink, what shall we do? So instead of wasting those lovely moments in fear, it's never too late to start. Start now. Feed the body, feed the brain, and luckily, you will get a healthy, balanced body and mind without going back to the medical team to help you fix an illness. And thank you so much for being a great audience. And I'm waiting for any questions if you have to ask about how to feed your brain, when to feed your brain, how to get the balanced mental status that keep you survive and thrive in life. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Hanadie from thepainmanager.com.
Thank you, Dr. Hanadie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a great session.
Thank you.